Hey everybody, Movie Review Next Door here, and back with another movie review. Sorry they've been so scattered lately. I've been dealing with some bouts of depression and stuff with work, but it seems work is turning around, so hopefully things will get better. But tonight I watched a horror film called No Escape or Follow Me. It's kind of hard to see, but from 2020, directed by Will Wernick, and it stars Keegan Allen, Holland Roden, Denzel Whitaker, Ronan Rubinstein, Pasha de Lynchikov, George Janko, and Sia, or Siya. Now, in this film, a social media personality travels with his friends to Moscow to capture new content for a successful vlog. Always pushing the limits and catering to a growing audience, they enter a cold world of mystery, excess, and danger. When the lines between real life and social media are blurred, the group must fight to escape and survive. So, what did I think of No Escape, or Follow Me? Well, I've been going a bit back and forth on this film, because I've seen one of this director's 3 other films, which was Escape Room, which came out, I think, right around the same time as the Sony Escape Room movie, which I do like the Sony Escape Room movie a tad better, in certain respects especially. But with this film, I definitely think this film in most ways is better. And I do think it is at least a fun, well, tense, it can be a very intense horror film. That's what I think. There are some issues that I have with the plot, and I'm gonna have to get into spoilers for these, but once I get through with the cast and my initial thoughts on the cast, I'll hold up my hand or something and I'll mark them in the description. But I do like the film. I have my issues with certain things in the plot and certain characters and certain reasons that characters do certain things. I have some issues in that regard. But for the most part, and other than a couple of bad CGI effects that really do look really bad, I think it's a good film. I don't think it deserves these horrible reviews. I understand it takes a lot of suspension of disbelief to buy a lot of the stuff in this film happening, even though there's reasons for certain things happening. But yeah, let me get to the cast. Keegan Allen as Cole. I've recognized this actor. He was in a film called King Cobra, which I haven't seen. It's about Brent Corrigan, I think, or something, some porn actor. I really liked him in this. He plays Cole, the social media guy. He talks in the film basically just like Jake Paul, and I mean, I think this film is still relevant. It doesn't do anything that immediately dates it in respect to actual social media people, but he nails it. He nails the annoying social media personality, and I like his normal personality, when he's with his girlfriend. It's very sweet, it's very touching, it's very charming. And he's a charming actor. I like him. I do. I think he does a really good job here. As does Holland Roden as Erin, his girlfriend. And funny thing about this, she ended up being in Escape Room 2, Tournament of Champions, which is the sequel to the 2019 Escape Room. Yeah, Tournament of Champions was the year after this. Yeah, I really liked Tournament of Champions. I really did. The extended cut. The theatrical cut I think is still decent, but the extended cut does change certain scenes around and certain plot framing devices to where I like it a lot more. But yeah, I like her here. Denzel Whitaker as Thomas, Cole's best friend as a child. He's good. Ronan Rubinstein as Alexei. He's good. Pasha de Lynchikov as Andre. George Janko and Sia. All good. Like, I don't have much of an issue with the acting, really. But yeah, I'll get through some of my thoughts and then I'll get to spoilers, because there is something that I really do need to talk about that I know some people can, again, disbelief. I'm very good at that, but there's certain things that I have issues with concerning characters. But this is kind of like an escape. It's an escape room movie, but it's got like a bit of a twist on it. It's not just like, oh, the escape room is killing people and all that. That's not like all of it. It's like a setup thing and whatever. And yeah, I think it's very well executed for the most part. The games or traps that people go through are interesting. I know pretty much every review on Letterboxd is like, oh, it's low rent Hostel or low rent Saw. And I'm like, is it really like Saw? If you think of like characters, like the main villain's motivations and all that, can you really consider it the same as Saw? You're just saying it because there's a bit of gore at times. Like, these people are so lazy with their... It's like those DVD covers like you see for like Into the Grizzly Maze will do for forests what Jaws did for the water. Like, it's like those fucking idiots that can't think of anything to say about the movie, so they just compare it to another movie because they're fucking lazy. As if the movie isn't worth anything just because it's similar to another film. It's just stupid. But here, like, and also Hostel. Like, this has nothing to do with Hostel at all. I don't know where they got that from. If you actually have watched the movie, I consider this better than Hostel by a long mile. Because the only thing I enjoyed in Hostel was the third act, the Revenge Act, which I think should have gone on a bit longer and a bit more should have been done with it. But still, for the most part in Hostel, I was just kind of bored and I didn't care about the characters because they were all assholes. And even though Jay Hernandez and the other actors did good jobs portraying these characters, I didn't give a shit about them when they were getting like operated on and all that shit. So, but here it's not the same thing. They're like in an escape room. They think, oh, this is so realistic, and then it turns out deadly. It's a lot like Will Wernick's other film, just called Escape Room for 2017, which, no wait, that's a full 2 years before the Sony Escape Room, so it's not ripping off that, or like made close to the release date to cash in on it or anything. But yeah, like, his version of Escape Room, I know, it's kind of hard to see. His version of Escape Room wasn't bad. I thought it was decent back when I saw it. It's 81 minutes. It's a very short watch. And his other movie I actually have on DVD, which I haven't seen yet. Also released by Vertical, like Follow Me or No Escape. Safer at Home. Apparently this was made during the pandemic. And it's like a phone screen type, or a laptop screen type of thing, which I'm usually all right with that kind of thing, so I'll give it a try. This is also 82 minutes, so still very short. But yeah, this film never got boring. It was constantly engaging. Even the stuff that happens beforehand. I'm glad that there was a bit before the shit hit the fan to actually get to know these characters, because I ended up actually caring about them, which a lot of movies like this don't do, because they either make the characters unlikable pricks so that you want to see them die, which I don't understand the reason for that if they're supposed to be the protagonists. Unless it's like a revenge thing, then you should do that. But yeah, it's getting to the point where I have to bring up spoilers, but just a last comment on the film. Yes, I do recommend it to people. There are certain things that I don't want to take the blame for if people are mad about, but I just want to warn that I do like the film. I do have some issues with it. I'd say watch it because it's not that long. It's like 93 minutes or 95 minutes. It's not long. It's on Tubi for free. So you're not really losing anything except an hour and a half of your time if you just completely despise it. But now I'm going into spoilers. So spoilers. This entire time his friends have been dying in front of his eyes. The rapper chick, what's her fucking name? I'm bad with names. Sam, her rapper chick, who I think is hinted at being a lesbian at one point, where she's debating with Dash if that she can get into a girl's pants before he can, which I thought was kind of funny, actually. That was cute. She gets her eye slit and then gets her throat cut, which really good effects, I will say. The practical effects are actually really well done. They really are. And then Georgienko's Dash, he gets his arm cut off and he like slowly bleeds out. Then Thomas, he ends up taking the brunt of this like big Russian dude that runs after him and shoves him into a lift shaft. Which I will say, the way they shot it doesn't exactly work with what happens later. And then the final confrontation, it's Andre and Aaron, who is Cole's girlfriend. She's in a chair, and Cole has a gun, and so does the guy. He has it at her head. She like hits the guy in the head, in the nose with her head, and then Cole has enough time to shoot him, and then he shoots him and nothing really happens. And then he shoots... Andre shoots Aaron in the head. And I will say, bad CGI blood scene. There's a couple bits in the film where there's really bad CGI blood. It's like too small a stream. It just looks really off. And then Cole ends up running away from these people, going through a vent that has light coming through it, and he comes to see Alexei with a phone like held up recording him, as Cole has been recording other people throughout the movie. And Cole basically tackles him to the ground and beats his face to a bloody pulp. And that's when the twist in the movie comes up, that Aaron, Thomas, Dash, and Sam, along with Alexei and pretty much everybody that's been involved in this, made all of this up to truly scare Cole. That's my issue with the movie. That's one of my big fucking issues with this movie. That while it is a good twist, it brings into question a lot of things. How did they fake her being shot in the head when it wasn't a practical effect? That's the issue. If you're going to do something like this, you can't really skimp out on practical effects. So they could have easily done a squib. They could have had him shoot her in the chest and have a squib, which would have worked perfectly fine. When it happened, like, Alexi's girlfriend is pretend shot by Andre earlier in the film, like before they're brought to this other location, and it's CGI blood as well. Like, you could have easily had it be a squib or something else. I do have the problem there, but my biggest problem is that it makes all of the characters other than Cole supremely fucking terrifying, like unlikable. Like, they've all become complete assholes. Like, not just assholes, they're fucking psychopaths. Putting him through this shit, making him think that his friends are fucking dead, not just friends, his own fucking girlfriend, that we've seen throughout the film, that while he's a bit of an attention whore online, he still does truly care for her. It's just that she doesn't like that he sometimes seems to care more about his online fandom than his own girlfriend, which I can understand what they were I don't know if that's what they're trying to do, saying that, because whenever he's doing, like, social media stuff, like whenever he's on his phone, like, he'll switch on a dime from his real personality, like in real life in the movie, to being his pompous dickhead internet self, which I feel is what happens with most people like that, like Markiplier, Jacksepticeye, fucking Jake Paul, and even some YouTubers I like Jimmy here. I don't 100% believe that Jimmy acts the way he does on streams in real life. I don't. But that's how YouTube is. If you don't cater to these fucking children that watch content they won't watch. So, but my guess with what they're trying to do with this ending is to say that because she doesn't like the second personality that he has, she wanted to show his fans his day-to-day personality without the internet, and him going through the first part of the escape room is live streamed. It's being live streamed, and I think the rest of the film is live streamed, but I guess the point was to show everyone how he actually works and all that. And I'm sorry, I know there are people that'll probably be like, he should have let Alexi talk and say that it was a game. This dude witnessed what he thought was his friends being fucking murdered. His friends and his girlfriend being murdered in front of his eyes. Like, and you expect me to side with the friends who have possibly caused this guy psychological harm? Do you expect me to agree with these people? So yeah, that is my big issue with the movie, because it makes all of these other characters that I actually was growing to be attached to complete dickheads. And yeah, I side with Cole on this, even though he beat the guy's head to a bloody pulp, which, in a really good effect. It's a really fucking disturbing looking effect. And the gore in the film isn't just there to be gore. It actually does feel unnerving. It actually does work in the way that the film intends it to. And yeah, other than these characters being complete assholes, I don't mind the film. I think it's a good film. I do. I think it's a surprisingly effective horror movie, and I hope after Safer at Home, Will Wernick continues directing films. And this film, I will say one other thing about it. It looks really good. It doesn't look low budget. It looks like it has, like, quite a bit of talent behind it, especially cinematography wise. It might have been drones, I don't know. It looks like they actually shot in Russia, which is cool. Yeah, I like the film. I just have an issue with the twist a bit. Not that it's unbelievable, it's just certain things don't really work with it, even though in the end credits they're showing footage of his friends, like, smirking at the camera or whatever, and pretending like all this stuff is going on, and you seeing the pulling like the plasticine like effects off of Sam's eye and all that, and for the most part it works, but there's the couple times it doesn't work, and the fact that the characters become so supremely unlikable other than Cole, because Cole is the one character that I actually rooted for the entire film, and I still rooted for him. The fact that he did that does not, if it surprises anyone, like the girlfriend comes out and looks like shocked that he did that, like, bitch, what do you think was gonna happen? But yeah, let me get to the pros and cons. Pros, I will say Will Wernick's direction here is pretty solid, to be honest. There's some really nice shots, some really nice aerial shots, really nice camera angles. The editing never got annoying. The score by says here Mangano and Crystal Grooms. Well, I guess that's who it is. Mangano and Crystal Grooms was pretty solid too, pretty good, pretty effective in the scenes that where it needed to be. Again, the acting from Keegan Allen, Howland Roden, Denzel Whitaker, pretty much everybody in the cast is pretty good. The gore effects in the context of the universe are really well done. There were some really effective scenes of tension that did have me gripped, even though I've seen the film before. Cons, again, the fact that pretty much every character becomes an not just unlikable, psychopathic asshole by the end of the film, did put me off a bit. And also the bits of CGI blood that don't really work. But yeah, other than those things, I still like the film. And I will mention an Easter egg in the film. There's at the scene in the beginning where Cole and the rest of his friends and girlfriend are on the plane on the way to Moscow. There's like these screens behind the plane seats, and at one point you can see Escape Room from 2017, Will Wernick's Escape Room from 2017 playing on the back of the seats, which, I don't know, I thought it was an interesting Easter egg. I think I posted about it on my Reddit account at some point, but yeah. Hope you enjoyed the review. Comment, like, subscribe, whatever, and movie review next door. Out.